Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel True Crime and Trials, where I discuss true crime and trials. And the next video is another witness in the Jodi Arias trial, and next up is Ryan Burns. Now, he met Jodi at a convention in April of 2008, and he doesn't know who approached who, and he says they started talking and talked for about 5 minutes, and he asked for her number. He works fast. They didn't speak for about 3 or 4 weeks after the convention, and then one night he called her. He says they had a pleasant conversation that went on for about 30 minutes to an hour. He says they probably talked the next day, and from that point they probably talked at least 4 to 5 times a week. They made arrangements for Jodi to come out and visit him. They arranged a day, but for some reason she didn't turn up and he couldn't get a hold of her. So later that night he did get a call from her, and he said she sounded apologetic right from the start. She said a few things happened and she got lost, got tired, fell asleep, didn't have a charger for her phone, so her phone had been dead all day. She did get to his house eventually, but about 12 hours later, after the phone call. So that night they basically fool around, lots of touching, heavy kissing, but clothes never came off and they didn't have sex. He says he did notice a couple of bandages on her hands, and she told him that she had cut her finger at work because of broken glass. The next night they had been out with friends. They went back to Ryan's place and fell asleep. When he woke up they were kissing, and then Jodi got on top of him quite aggressively, he says, and continued kissing him. He did ask her to stop because obviously they've got their faith going on, and you know they're not allowed to do the sex thing. So in a text message he did call her feisty, and he meant that she was a lot stronger than she looked. So a message is now shown from Jodi to Ryan, and then the next from Ryan to Jodi. It does look confusing, but it starts from the bottom up, so they've just put it all in the wrong order. So Travis did come up in conversation between them, and specifically their breakup. You can't see all of this conversation, but a general idea. There's a specific part that Juan asks Ryan to read out, and this is how it goes. So, anyway, back to Travis real quick. He's a great person, and I wouldn't want to edify him as anything else. We all have our character flaws. We've seen each other at our absolute worst and best. We are just fundamentally different. These are from Jodi, by the way. Then she says there is a little more, and continues to say the whole time we were seeing each other after we broke up, he had another girlfriend. I had no idea. He didn't tell me about her till after they broke up. But I felt so bad. This time I was the other girl. I wanted to tell her, but that would have caused a lot of unnecessary drama and pain. Anyway, since she asked what time it was, I decided to text her back. Time to go cuddle with Jodi. Good night. Then I deleted the message, went to sleep, and never mentioned it to him. But it got to the point where I couldn't sleep. I couldn't keep it in anymore, and I confronted him. We broke up, and I kind of wished that was the end of the story, but he is very persuasive, and we continued to see each other even though we were no longer boyfriend and girlfriend. Then while we were in Huntington Beach, he fell asleep, and a text message came through from a girl that said, "Sorry I didn't get back to your text last night. What time is it there?" So of course I read the last text he sent her, and it said, "I really miss you." Gosh, I'm making myself look so bad. I had a really strong gut feeling. I'm not saying I'm psychic, but I've been cheated on twice before, and it is a very distinct feeling, one that I cannot ignore. So I asked him gently about it, and he got really angry, and it led to an argument. He said I was crazy to think that, so I left it alone. But the feeling persisted. And one day, while he was taking a nap, I took his phone and read his text messages. Bad, I know. So that's the end of the state's direct examination. We move on to the cross-examination, and Ryan says his first impressions of Jodi was that she was nice and beautiful. and he knew who Travis was, but he didn't know him personally. He says he went to some sort of talk that Travis was doing, and he saw him there, but he didn't obviously know him personally. So we now get a time of when Jodi went to visit Ryan, as this hadn't been said in the direct examination, and it was in June of 2008. And he was surprised to find out that Jodi was still messaging and talking to Travis, but then he thought because they worked together that would be the reason why they continued to talk, when he thought their relationship was in the past. See, they all basically work together in the same company. He says they did have phone sex after she had visited, but I get a feeling that it's not what we all think. And at one point I honestly think, you know, this guy has got balls of steel, because he's being asked about his sex life with Jodi, what they did, and he doesn't even blush. She did tell Ryan that she and Travis had gone a lot further sexually than they should have. She didn't specifically say they had sex, but that's what she inferred. And she didn't want anyone finding out, because she didn't want Travis to lose his standing in the Mormon community. But at one point he did find out that they had sex. So to Ryan's knowledge, Travis had a reputation of being a flirt. So we have more text messages, and this message is from Ryan to Jodi when he didn't hear from her in a while in April. Although Ryan can't remember if there were any texts before this one. And there is one that sounds like it could be part of the same conversation, where Ryan says, "Thank you, gorgeous, good night." Another message from May that says, "Just come and stay." The next, from the same day, it says, "Good, so I am getting closer to talking you into it, lol. What do I have to do to seal the deal, lol." So more from the same day, and he admits that these messages were flirtatious. Now he says it wasn't necessarily phone sex, but more what could have happened. So the redirect, Juan is very aggressive. It's like he's acting, you know, like you see in programs, in courtrooms, and, you know, the lawyers are getting really aggressive and stuff. And normally in real life, the judges are like, just calm it down. He starts going through the messages that the defence showed, which were only Ryan's messages of the conversation. So basically there's no context to Ryan's answers, leaving what Jodi said to speculation. He says that if they had met up a second time, that things may have gone further sexually. I think that's a given. And we have a couple of jury questions, and they question why in one of the texts he says good night when it's 8 AM and he doesn't know. Neither do I. Nobody knows. Weird. But the defence says even though there's a discrepancy with the time, the contents of the text is correct, which is right, but still a bit of an oddity. So, a bit more of an insight into Jodi. Not much difference to what we already know, so there we go. I'll be back with more as soon as I can, because, you know, I'm watching and giving a brief overview of the Derek Chauvin trial, so I'll be back all week with videos for that. So until then, bye for now.